Hello, welcome back. It is Thursday, May the 26th. I was on Twitter and just going through some of my social media, and I don't usually spend a lot of time on there. I usually just post my videos. But I saw a tweet from Richard Eden, and it got me thinking about something. If you'll recall, Meghan said that these pictures haunt her. Does she look like someone who is no longer wanting to exist? Meaning, when she went on the Oprah Winfrey show, she talked about her mental state and how she went to different people to try to get help, which if you're suffering from mental illness or you feel like you're having a breakdown or depression, you go to someone who can help you with that. You don't go to HR, just like we wouldn't. We don't go to our secretaries or other staff members. If you're having an issue like that, you go and seek medical help. Now, it's my understanding that the palace always had palace doctors that took care of the queen and the royal family. And we know that the royal family had been part of, what was it? Is it Better? No, not Better Up. I'm trying to think. But anyway, there was a charity that Harry, William, and Catherine were involved with. Even before Meghan came along on the scene. Meghan had never said she had had any of these issues before, but when she was pregnant with Archie, that she was in a state that she felt like she didn't want to exist anymore, that she didn't see any reason in it, and that she just wanted it to be over, that she was so unhappy and so depressed. So let's get into it. Disclaimer, please like and subscribe. Richard Eden, is Princess Diana's friend Julia sMole trying to send a message to Prince William and Prince Harry? To read Tuesday's Eden Confidential column in full, click on the link. As a close friend of Princess Diana and a godmother to Prince George, Julia sMole has a ringside seat at royal family dramas for decades. Now, the bereavement counselor and psychotherapist has posted this intriguing message online to promote her new book, Every Family Has a Story. At the root of fracture and heartbreak, in families, there is often jealousy and competition for what can be seen as the limited resource of love in all those forms. Plays out in misery and hurt, and in the consequent battles of siblings and couples or intergenerational rivalry. Is she trying to send a message to Prince William and Harry? It's almost as if what she talked about in this book, and the book is based on 8 different people that she has in therapy, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. But here's a woman that was Princess Diana's best friend, and you'll see in photos and stuff that she was involved with her throughout her life. Immediately when Meghan said this to Harry, why didn't Meghan reach out to her? But I'm going to go backwards a little bit and go a little bit about what she said to Oprah, and also tell you a little bit more about Julia sMole. So, Sunday Times bestseller, and this is what she was tweeting about the new book that's out. Every Family Has a Story, How We Inherit Love and Loss. All right, let me go up. Sorry, here we go. So just a little bit about her. She is a British psychotherapist and pediatric counselor. I wouldn't be surprised if William and Harry had sought her for counseling after the death of their mother, but she's very much been a part of their lives, so much so that William and Catherine asked her to be one of the godmothers to Prince George. A little bit about her. Again, she's worked 30 years. She's worked first for the NHS and then in private practice. She's the founder and patron of Child Bereavement UK. Her previous books are This too shall pass, and grief works. She lives in London with her husband, has 4 children, 6 grandchildren. Why do some families thrive in adversity while others fragment? How can families weather difficult transitions together? Why do our families drive us mad? And how can even the small changes, greatly improve our relationship? And I think what Richard was talking about is she may have been hinting that, yes, while they went through a lot of tragedy, that how William was able to take it in stride and be stronger mentally and move forward and got the help that he needed. But how Harry chose to lash out, and if she is talking about him, and just not be able to get through it, not be able to face things. And I think this is still one of his problems. So, in Every Family Has a Story, best-selling psychotherapist Julia Samuel turns to the acclaimed work with individuals to draw on her sessions with a wide variety of families across multiple generations. Through 8 beautifully told and insightful case studies, she analyzes a range of common interests, from loss to leaving home and the separation to side relationships, and shows how much is, in fact, inherited and how much can be healed when it's faced together. And, and we could even look back and see Princess Diana, the divorce of her mother and father, and we know how that affected her greatly, and watching the father slap the mother and then the mother walking out. and her standing at the gate watching her mother leave and asking her not to, but knowing that she felt all along. So I think that when we go through these different events that are traumatic for us, that we carry them with us. And the more we try to lock them away in a closet, when we have another tragic event and we open the closet door and try to stuff something else in there, at some point it becomes full and it begins to spill out. And as we're going through life and having different life experiences, I think we carry it around with us. That's why they call it carrying around your baggage sometimes, that it affects the way we think, how we feel, how we interact with others, how we're able to be in partnerships, in work, and just so many things in life. Exploring those relationships that both touch us most and hurt us most, including the often underappreciated impact of grandparents and siblings, and incorporated the latest academic research, she offers wisdom that is applicable to us all. Her 12 touchstones for family well-being, from fighting productivity to making time for rituals, provides us with the tools to improve our relationships and to create the families that we wish. Now, we know that Harry's talked about, it's okay, generational pains. Mason, it's okay. He's talked about generational pain and how that has been handed down from one generation to another. And that, I think that he couldn't face the facts of what he was dealing with. And he's went through his life and then getting married or whoever he was dating, all of those relationships were then affected by that. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to relocate because of my dog. You're beating. It's okay. It's okay. There we go. So anyway, let me continue on, and I apologize. So it's moving and reassuring meditation that amid trauma and hardship tells unforgettable stories of forgiveness, hope, and love. So her books can be found on Amazon, and this is just a few of them that she has written. Grief Works, the one I just told you about, and This Too Shall Pass, but there's many others. So The Guardian, when I was doing some research on her, I found The Guardian had done a story. Every family has a story. So they were doing an interview about her book. And she goes on to talk about that it's 8 families that have been carefully chosen. They're diverse in ethnicity, sexuality, economic circumstances, in the issues they raise: divorce, bereavement, same-sex marriage, adoption, addiction, those suffering empty nest syndrome. The effect at all times, almost too schematic, was her publishing calling the shots. But the sMole magic continues to obtain. She shows that there is no family tree without its gnarled complexities. Families are messy, chaotic, and imperfect. And I think we can all agree about that. We all have different types of relationships with different members of our family. Some become estranged. Some we don't have any issues with, but maybe we don't live close to them. We don't see them very often. Some are more private and don't discuss a lot about their personal families, and just kind of keep things to themselves. Everybody's so different. But I think we can all agree that the things that we go through, we have to be able to overcome to have healthy relationships. And if you're in a relationship and you find out that it's not a healthy one, you have to do anything you can to change that, to fix it if it can't be fixed, to leave it, to escape it. But through therapy, I'm a big believer in that. Through therapy, it helps you to gain perspective, to sort out what you're feeling, and then there's a professional to help you figure that out and the steps that maybe you need to take in order to do that. But what you do have to do is face it. A lot of people have went through traumas in their life and they kept it bottled up for years and years. And then it comes out maybe later in life, or maybe there's a trigger. Maybe it's after they have children, or maybe it's if they're left alone or become widowed through a spouse dying. There's just a lot of different things. But anyway, she goes on to talk about latest research and how divorce among couples over 50 has doubled in the past 20 years. 5% of siblings are said to be completely estranged. 23% barely speak to one another. And there's another arresting new finding. We all worry more than previous generations. And we particularly worry about our adult children. And that's true. I think as our children are growing up, we want to be there. We want to mentor them. Of course, we want to let them be independent and live their own lives. But I think we do worry more, or we're more concerned with them. And we want to make sure that they're on the right path, and that, that they're happy and healthy, and to let them know that we're here for them and that we support them. And we want to make sure that they're in healthy relationships so that they can live happy, productive lives, and especially that they're in healthy relationships before they think about having a family and with that, all the extra stress and anxieties and worries that come along. So it just talks about the difficult truth that we can only fix what we can face. I think with Harry and Meghan, excuse me, they often label themselves as the victims, and they often or tend to, according to what I can see, tend to blame others for the difficulties in their life, or for the sadness or unhappiness that they felt. But the only person that's in control of your happiness is you, yourself, me, myself. And if we're not happy, then we need to do something to actively find out why we're not happy and to try to correct that so that we can go on to live happy, productive lives. And she goes on to say that I was waiting for her to add that there is an even more difficult truth, that not everything can be fixed. But sMole is on the side of making life better. And especially at the moment in human history, nothing could matter more. And why am I thinking about this? I'm thinking about this because of the estranged relationship Harry has with all of his family, and what's going on with Meghan's father as he's in the hospital, fighting for his life right now, and how you would think that having a health scare like this would be a wake-up call for Meghan, so that she would go to the hospital to see her father and put everything else aside, whatever differences they've had, whatever has caused the estrangement from one another, to just realize that it's insignificant. It's as tiny as a grain of sand compared to having your parent die before you've resolved things, or to not go by their bedside when they're struggling and, at the scariest time in their life. And in Mr. Markle's case, not being paralyzed and not having the ability to even swallow, so that means he'll be on a liquid diet, not having the ability to speak, communicate, and hopefully cognitively, I hope and pray that it hasn't damaged, anything more than just the side of the brain that controls your speech and your understanding. So I'm sure it'll be a matter of days or even weeks before they know exactly the extent of the damage that he's suffering, because there'll have to be CAT scans, MRIs, and other high-tech tests to determine, and probably EEGs to study the brain waves and to make sure that, that there's no clot, because usually that's what occurs whenever you have a stroke. So moving on. Daily Mail said, did Meghan Markle turn to Princess Diana's close friend? And I want to state that this was March of 2021, so just over a year ago. But somehow I missed this. Or that might have been before I started back making videos. I guess it was. Did Meghan Markle turn to Princess Diana's close friend, Julia sMole, as she struggled with her mental health? Leading psychotherapist has remained a confidant to both William and Harry and Prince George's godmother. Oops, sorry, let me go back. And during Prince Harry and Meghan's tell-all interview with Oprah, the Duchess of Sussex revealed that she felt so unsupported by the palace during mental health struggles that she reached out to one of Princess Diana's friends in desperation. Well, instead of just reaching out to a friend, I kind of thought it might have been that, what was her name, Jinga or something, Jaga Khan or something, a friend of hers. But it makes more sense that they would reach out to a psychotherapist. While Meghan didn't mention the friend by name on the Oprah show, could it be British psychotherapist Julia sMole, a one-time close associate to the late princess and an enduring confidant for Prince William and Harry as they forged out their own adult lives? I would have thought that she would have been the first person to come to mind when Meghan told Harry this, if it was really, as severe as what they're saying. Wouldn't you want to seek somebody that that does that line of work and is qualified to help you, especially if there's a chance of you wanting to do self-harm? Meghan, who's pregnant with a baby girl, told Oprah in the bombshell interview that will air on UK television on Monday, it already aired, that it was she was struggling with serious mental health problems during her pregnancy with the couple's son, Archie, that she didn't know who to even turn to. Well, there could be a lot of reasons that she might have been struggling, and I can think of many, but I won't go into them because we all have our own thoughts about the pregnancy, so I'll just leave it at that because that's not the point of this. The royal revealed that her darkest period, leaving her contemplating suicide, came after the couple had announced that they were expecting their first child. One of the people that I had reached out to, who's continued to be a friend and confidant, was one of my husband's best friends, one of Diana's best friends. And you'll remember in that interview, I thought, well, here she is. She's bringing Princess Diana into it. So, Julia sMole, MBE, a leading British psychotherapist, was a close friend of the late Princess Diana and has remained close to both William and Harry. Here you can see many years ago, this was back in 1987, Julia and the late Princess of Wales pictured at Wimbledon. I'm saying Wilmington. I'm so sorry. The two women met at a dinner in 1987 and instantly clicked. The Duchess added, because it's like, who else could understand what it's actually like on the inside? Psychotherapist for more than 30 years, Julia sMole has remained close to them. Here she is. She is the godmother to Prince George, and during the early 90s, she was regularly seen by Princess Diana's side on trips to the gym and to the cinema, offering Royal a chance to do normal things. And she's pictured here with Prince William, and it says that they are both patrons for the Child Bereavement Charity, and they were pictured together here in 2009. And I think it's wonderful that he's kept these friendships on his mother's side, someone that he can talk to, learn a lot about his mother, but especially will have insight to, without her sharing, what Diana told her, but have some insights to things that she went through. And I truly believe that Harry has the issues that he does because his mother had issues. Mental illness often will carry over from one generation to another, and especially if a child has experienced trauma or has seen the actions of the parent or family member that suffered with mental illness, that can also affect them. So this was in 2015, as she's with Prince William again, hosted at a 21st birthday dinner to celebrate the Child Bereavement Charity. So they've stayed in close, and you can see he has less hair here, and I just think it's wonderful that he has her in his life. Maybe William realized, and it may have been through the help of Kate, that he needed to talk to someone, that he needed to be able to work through these feelings, the anger, the pain, seeing his father then go and be with Camilla and eventually marry her. I'm sure there was a lot of issues that needed to be worked out. But maybe it was Harry that didn't want to do this, that didn't want to face it, as in her quote that Miss Samuel said that, you can't fix something until you're ready to face it. And maybe it's only in his late 30s that he actually truly decided to devote the time. But there again, you have to wonder, is he seeing the right type of therapist with the right credentials, someone who is able to really assist him? I don't know, don't have any idea. Meghan revealed in an interview that she was told checking into a mental health institution while she was struggling during her first pregnancy wouldn't be good for the institution. Somebody may have said that in an off way, meaning like, we've got to go about this in the right way. Let's get you in to see somebody. Let's not just, call the man in the white trucks and have you, driven up to the front of the hospital and walk in through the main entrance. I'm sure if any member of the royal family needed medical attention, there's VIP care. I mean, the same way that there is when they go in to have babies or they're having some type of surgery, they receive the VIP type of attention. And I know this. My daughter works in a ward at the hospital and has worked for a very famous physician that deals with, I can't even think of it right now, but it's like an osteopath. But anyway, he's done lots of professional athletes, and when they go in, it's very private, and there's separate entrances, and only the people working in there have to have special badges to even get in. So, of course, they wouldn't want her driven up to the front, but I think she's twisting what may have been said, like, we can do this, but there's a way to do it, and making it seem like they weren't willing to help her. So she said that was very clear and very real and frightening and a constant thought. Meghan said, I knew that if I didn't say it, I would do it. I didn't want to be alive anymore. I question that just a little bit. Not saying she didn't have issues with depression or whatever was going on, and I think that she does have issues. But typically a person that is going to hurt themselves won't tell somebody for fear that that will keep them from doing it. Usually they don't say anything and they just do it. Not saying that's in all cases, because definitely I'm not a doctor. This is just my opinion. I just thought that was a strange statement that she made. I said I'd never felt this way before and I need to go somewhere, and that I was told I couldn't, that it wouldn't be good for the institution. She said that after confiding in her husband that she was forced to go to the Royal, did you hear that? Forced to go to the Royal Albert Hall for a charity event in January 2019, claiming the photos from the night haunt her. Well, I've looked at the photos and I'm going to share some of those with you. And to me, those photos, it's one of the nights that her face looked absolutely gorgeous. And she had said that she'd been crying and that Harry had been cradling her, and she wiped away the tears and went in to go put makeup on so they could go out to the event. You know good and well, if you're feeling in this kind of state to where you want to take your own life, I can understand her saying, don't leave me and go without me, because, I might would do something, because you don't want to leave a person alone if they're feeling that way. But what bothers me is how she was able to throw on makeup, gather herself up, and go and put on a smiling face, and without having any picture that was taken of her look as if she was unhappy, depressed, and I know we can all put on a smiling face, and sometimes we hide the way that we feel on the inside because we don't want to bring others down. I just don't think that he had to go and that she was not forced to go, because she even said that Harry said she could stay behind, and she said, no, I'm afraid of what I'll do. So she told Oprah later that when she joined the family, that was the last time that she saw her passport, driver's license, keys, and all of that gets turned over. Well, it does. They keep up with it because they're arranging all of your transportation, all of the tours and places that you go. Why would she need it if she wasn't going somewhere? And when she went to go see Elton John, and when she went to Ibiza, and when she went all the other places, she didn't have a problem getting her passport back to be able to go. So none of that made sense. That was her being dramatic and trying to make it seem like she was held prisoner. She was never held prisoner. And when they asked her to stay in for a while because she was in all the headlines and being papped, they wanted the attention to die down a little bit so that there wouldn't be a frenzy around her. But no, she liked that attention, and she, kind of expressed it in this way that, I was being told not to go out to eat lunch with my friends. I was being told to stay inside. Well, I believe she takes bits of the truth, and she's very grandiose, and she twists it and turns it so it makes a more dramatic narrative, because she's addicted to drama, in my opinion. So Grazia said, why do these pictures haunt her? So they wrote a story about it. So let's look at the pictures. I'll tell you who does look upset, Harry. And he's doing that when he's uncomfortable, where he takes his right hand and he twists the wedding ring, his wedding band. And he does that over and over. Another time we can tell that he's uncomfortable is he will put his right hand over his abdomen and hold it there almost as if he's having stomach issues. Meghan, that night I thought her hair and makeup was very nice, and I thought the sequin dress that she wore was gorgeous. Her eyes are not red, her makeup was not running, and she even said in the Oprah interview, I believe, allegedly, that she cried throughout the whole thing, and then she had to wipe the tears when the lights came up so that nobody would see her. But in all the pictures of her leaving, her makeup's not messed up. And you know yourself, even if you had bronzer on, pressed powder, liquid foundation, if you have tears streaming down your face, you're going to see that wash away, and you'll see those tear marks going down. So it goes on to say, speaking on the incendiary Oprah Winfrey interview in March, Meghan looked back on the event. It was the Circus du Soleil show called Totem, held at the iconic London venue in January of that year. Meghan was pregnant with baby Archie and looked amazing in a Roland Mouret sequins, but she didn't feel amazing. Let's look at that again. Here they are standing up and they're clapping, and Harry seems to be waving at somebody. And here is Meghan, and she's doing the cradle baby bump, and a lot of people feel like that she's doing that so that a prosthetic device doesn't fall down. Whether she is or not, I don't know. But usually a baby, comes straight out from your chest and doesn't drop down and just begin to bulge out in the lower abdomen. But I'll let everybody else make up their own mind about that. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Here she is again. Her makeup is flawless. I'm telling you, if she were crying, we would see the teardrop runs down her face. She even has a smirk on her face to me. This is immediately after. She's smiling. She's going around. I don't believe if she was in the state that she led us to believe that she was, that she would look this good. And I don't think she would have went. And Harry could have always said, look, I'm going to have to cancel. My wife is not well. I apologize, and I need to be with her. It's not a make or break, a life and death situation to back out of these events. And he certainly didn't have a problem canceling going to the military memorial and switching off to go to the Lion King premiere, where he would see Bob Iger and be able to put a bug in his ear that Meghan has had experience doing voiceovers, which I've never seen on her resume. I've never seen on her resume where she's done a voiceover ever, except the Elephants Without Borders. So then we have another picture of her. And again, I thought she looked gorgeous that evening. Her hair was nice. She's laughing here. Has her hand cupped just under her belly. And I'm not saying anything. A lot of pregnant women will do that or put their hand there, whether it's comforting or whatever. But she always seems like hers is underneath, holding it up. Like if somebody's toward the end of their pregnancy and the final term, just before delivery, sometimes it'll be that we call it the baby dropping, meaning that your baby bump, you're not carrying it up high anymore. You're starting to carry it low because the baby's starting to engage and get into position in the birth canal because you're getting closer to labor. So another picture of her. I see no anguish, no anxiety, no concern. I do on Harry's. Harry just doesn't. He seems like he is so preoccupied, so worried, and not himself. So let me know what you think. Do you think that Julia Samuels was the person that Meghan was referring to in the Oprah interview that she reached out to? And I think that she probably did cancel William and Harry. And that's probably who Meghan spoke to. So I'm just wondering, it seems like that he would trust her and that's who Meghan would have reached out to, and then he might have asked her to help him find the right type of therapist whenever he went to Canada or California, or to continue on with her because, let's face it, there was lockdown, things were closed, so doctors would see you virtually over the computer, so he could have continued therapy with her, and maybe he has. I would think somebody that knows him personally, that understands his family, the background, that has a intimate relationship or a close relationship, excuse me, to his family and his mother who's deceased, would be able to really help him. But this just bothered me so much when she talked about this at the Oprah interview. And I think we could all tell that she was pushing the victimhood narrative and that, people had been so cruel to her. And I think she was seeing she wasn't the star of the show. And even announcing that she was expecting their first child, I think there were a lot of things that weren't going right with that caused her a lot of anxiety. And I think keeping up with a certain image or keeping up appearances throughout this time, and then how we saw the belly wobble, go up, go down, and even on the same day decrease dramatically. There were just so many things that were just like, there's something going on here, and we just want somebody to tell us the truth, what it is. And the reason why we question her so much is because everything is so secretive and they want to control it. But by doing that, it makes us want to look into it even more and try to figure out, what are they hiding? Because anybody that acts that way is trying to hide something, almost like they're not being truthful. But anyway, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. I just thought it was kind of interesting, and maybe she was sending a message, like Richard Eden said to William and Harry, about, this happens, and, but you've got to be able to try to work on it, and you can't fix it until you're willing to face it. And maybe that's a message for them. Maybe that's a message for Meghan and her father. Meghan, go see your father. Go make this right. It's a chance to change your image, a chance to give your father some consolation with what he's going through, and maybe will help him want to be stronger and fight harder to regain his ability to speak and have a life and involvement with his grandchildren. So, everybody, I'll see you in the next video. And don't forget to leave a comment, give me a thumbs up, share this with a friend, and I'll see you soon. Have a great day.